Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I just realized I'm sitting in my family room instead of in the front room like I usually do, and I just realized that there's a lamp behind me. It looks like there's a glow coming out of my head. Looks like maybe I have a halo. Yeah, right. It's not, it's just a lamp. Um, I want to talk today about strategy and the importance of unity in what's ahead of us here. But first, I want to say a couple things. I want to welcome all of the new subscribers. It's great to have you here. The number of new people joining up is is surprising and gratifying, and also for all of you who have already come on over to Patreon, I'm really amazed at the growth over there. Great to have you over there. I'll tell you, everybody else, excuse me just a second. I don't have a cough button. Um, for those of you who aren't on Patreon, the difference is that everything that goes on YouTube also goes on Patreon, but not everything that goes on Patreon goes on YouTube. Uh, Over on Patreon, like I say, you get all the content that is um, that is here, or well, this will also be on Patreon, but that is on YouTube. But then you'll get additional things by me, and also other things that I post up there from other sources that I think are germane to the topic and the concerns of us all. One of the more recent ones that I've put up over there is a BBC documentary about the Troubles in Ireland. I talked about in a previous one or two videos here about the comparisons between what we may be dealing with here and those situations in the north of Ireland, a situation that I know something about, and also some other things, some other things from from other creators, and I always give them uh, full credit for it. Um, Things that I think that maybe I wouldn't normally see, or that you might not normally see. So Patreon is first off everything that's on YouTube, and then a lot of stuff that's not on YouTube, and then beyond that, kind of an aggregation of other you know resources, both informational and entertainment, that I think you all will enjoy. Uh, there was a bit of a confusion. I saw a question on Patreon the other day. Somebody said, I've already seen the YouTube video. Where is the Patreon video?" And what had happened there is, I think that I had shot one that I don't remember what it was. It was a matter of timing. And there was one that I had at first shot specifically for Patreon, but after I reviewed it, I realized I hadn't gotten into anything too deep, and I thought it would be okay to put it on YouTube, so I did. So whatever that situation was, you know, sorry about that. One thing is kind of sad for me, to be honest. Ever since I started the channel, I've loved the comments. Y'all's comments are great, and if you're new here, you're going to learn a lot from the comments, as I hope you learn from the videos themselves. But you're going to learn a lot. There are some sharp people here, and they get into more detail over on Patreon. So that's why I do suggest you go over to Patreon. It's only $1 a month, and you're going to get a lot more worth than that, as much from the comments as from the videos. Well, maybe not, but they are sharp. Uh, but anyway, one of my favorite things has always been to read the comments, and beyond that, I've always really enjoyed answering everybody who has made a comment. Um, I love getting back to you all. I love the communication back and forth. And I know that recently I've been late on some of that stuff because it's just getting so much between all the comments on YouTube, all the comments on Patreon, the books, my books, and I'm in the middle of writing the fifth one now. and then other things in which I'm involved. I just am having a hard time keeping up. So I'm afraid I'm getting to the point to where I may not be able to answer all comments. And I know that not y'all don't necessarily expect me to do that. I've even had people say, "Well, I never expected you to, respond," or "I don't need a response on this." And I know that that's a lot of it. It's a forum for you all to be able to express your opinions and pass on information and whatever. And I know that you don't always expect a response from me. So I think I'm probably not going to be able to respond to comments as much as I used to. I'll always hit that heart to let you know that I read it, and I will read every single one. I'll give a thumbs up if I agree with it. Okay. There are some that are kind of on the edge. I can't necessarily agree with it, but I don't I don't dismiss them. And then for those things that I really think that I need to make a comment on, I'll try to get to that. But so many of the questions, especially when people have asked questions, I have felt that I should, they've taken the time to ask the question, to watch the video, to support me over on Patreon. And I've always felt I wanted to take the time to respond to them. And I think instead of trying to do that in the format of the comments, I'll start jotting those down and using them as springboards for new videos, because they're great, and I don't want to let them go. So anyway, I think that's all the housekeeping we have here to do. I believe so. Thank you all. Welcome to everybody, all the new people, and you'll be joining a great bunch of folks here. And do please come over to Patreon. You're gonna want the full load. You're gonna get a lot more out of that for those of you who are serious about this stuff. Okay, I think that was it. And I probably should start jotting down some notes of what I need to talk about. Do you remember in high school or college studying about the great Celtic Empire? No? Probably not, because there never was one. I used to give lectures on the Celtic culture, and such, and they were an amazing people. They were an astounding people. They were the first workers in iron. They were made up of many different tribes that spanned Europe, from Eastern Europe clear to the British Isles. uh, they were unbelievable in like I say, iron worker, developing iron, artistic work, science, rudimentary, not the way that we look at science now, but we're talking 5,000 years ago, literature, although they were a people who carried their literature in their head. And it would take me a long time. Maybe someday I'll talk about that. I think, let me know if you're interested in that or not. But they were made up of a bunch of tribes, and both their strength and their downfall was in the fact that they were always fighting each other. Okay, they had for the most part, a common culture, a common history, a common background, a common ethnic makeup, but they were very tribal. Nothing wrong with that, but they didn't like the other tribes. And one of the reasons and they only came together once, when they went down and sacked Rome, and that was when Rome was expanding throughout Europe, and something came up I won't get into that ticked off enough of the Celts that they all finally got together and went down and sacked Rome. But having done it, then they got up and left, and they went back to their own little tribal arguments. One of the reasons that they never came together as a unifying culture, like the Germanic tribes did, were that, and there's a great difference between the Celtic personality and the Germanic or the Teutonic personality, and that's an interesting study in its own. But they always were too willing to to argue with another tribe, to even align themselves with a common enemy against that tribe, snitching each other out, to be honest, working with the new power, Rome, whatever it was, and working with them in order to overthrow this other Celtic king over in the next tribe, because they didn't like him and they'd hated him forever. And so they'll work with Rome, and Rome would say, "Will you help us do away with these people, and we'll make you king of where you are and over there too." And so the Celtic king, "Yeah, man, I'm going to do that." So they do that, and then the Celtic king just became a vassal of Rome. I want to apply that to what I see too often in the preparedness or the patriot circles. I've seen a couple of comments on here, and I don't remember who said it, and I'm not poking at you on this, but it did bring up an important subject, I think. And the comments were, and I've seen more of these. I haven't seen many here, just a couple, and I've seen a lot more of these other places, where they say, "The time for talk is over. Choose a side now. If you're not ready to go, you're part of the problem. You're the enemy," or whatever like that. Okay, let me be real blunt. That's silliness. Okay, that is short-sighted thinking. Apply it. I'll apply it to a football team. I know everybody loves to apply this to military, and that's another thing. I would suggest that everybody start getting their minds off the military aspect. I think most of the people that talk about that a lot, to be honest, weren't in it. But they love the tactical, and they love the clothing, and they love all that. Not slamming you, just saying it's time to kind of refocus on more important things that are not so superficial, and go a lot deeper, because it's the deep stuff that wins the situation. But anyway, I'm going to use a football team instead. If when the football team is down, 20 points, and they're entering the fourth quarter, and the coaches call them over to have a real discussion, these coaches who have spent a lot of time, and I know there's coaches and there's coaches, right? But coaches whose specialty are the strategy of the game. Each of the players has their specialty. You got those who throw, those who catch, those who run, those who block, those who tackle. Everybody has their specialty that they concentrate on. The coaches know it all. Okay? So when the coaches come over and they say, "Okay, we're going to call timeout. Now we got to get down to this." And they've been over there talking. They've been over there planning. And they say, "Here's what we're going to do." Do you think any of those players jump up and say, "The time for talking is over. Get out on the field. If you're not playing with us, you're playing against us, or you're part of the problem"? No, they don't do that, because they understand that there are many parts to a team. And they understand that maybe the coach, who maybe at one time was a great player, and now is, because of age and years and study and such, is in a new function, a new role. He's going to have an understanding. He's going to have abilities and knowledge that they don't have. Even the coach, maybe that was a guy who wasn't particularly a good player, but he has studied the game. He has studied it. And they have spent hours studying game films of the other team. They have an understanding of what's going on. Do you think those players "Where the time for talking is over"? No, they don't, because they have a deep understanding of all the different parts that go into winning a game or a situation. Do you think that the players go out there and say, "If you're not on the field, you're not part of the solution. You're not a part of the team. You're a part of the problem. The time is to decide is now," right? Well, no, they don't. you know, because they know that when they get out of the showers after the game, there's somebody there that's got towels for them. Okay. There is somebody who picks up their dirty uniforms and makes sure that they're clean for the next game. There is somebody who makes sure that there's Gatorade out by the sidelines. There are other people, who make sure that the scheduling for their next game is being taken care of. There is somebody who's taking care of the logistics of the hotels they're going to stay in. There is somebody driving the bus. There are dozens of people out there doing things in support of far fewer actual players, the guys on the field. Okay, those people understand those things. For some reason, we have too many in the preparedness or the patriot circles that want to diminish other people who may not be doing exactly what they're doing. Okay, no thinking person can come up with that. Okay, you look at the great movements. Well, look even at standing militaries now. Look how many support people there are for every person in the field. Okay, you look at, and this is one of the reasons that I put up that BBC special, that series over there, to explain all the different elements that went into a struggle for freedom and liberty. Now we're going to be going into a new chapter in our country. Okay, it is a time for working together, and it is a time for unity, not a time to be slamming people who don't do exactly what you do. You know, if you think about our founders, what brought about our country? Can you bring to mind the picture of the signing of the Declaration or the signing of the Constitution? Okay, what were they doing? Okay, now there are other paintings of battles and things like that. The important thing to understand is that there is a time and there are people for each, and we can all think up the names of those that we call the founders, the founding fathers. We can list, the average person could probably list 50. The more than above average could list 100, and the truly educated can list many more than that. So just realize how many people come to your mind right now when I say think of the founders. I'm sure there's many, many faces. Now I'm going to say think of the people who were fighting. Give me 5 names of people who were, or 10. You probably come up with 5. Give me 10 names of people who were actually doing the fighting. Okay. They don't immediately spring to mind unless they were also a founder. Is that not right? Okay. So the hard work, sometimes there needs to be, let me say this, sometimes there is physical conflict. We've seen that. We've seen that in the last year in our country. But the hard work, the real work that goes into creating, sustaining, and protecting a way of life, a way of government, a republic, whatever, it's up here. Okay. Even in our daily lives, how often do we go to physical confrontation? Well, there's times we may want to, but if we're smarter than that, we don't. We know that it's important to develop our strategy. It's important to think long term. It's important to see how all the different pieces fit together. Okay? Prisons are full of people whose first impulse was to go physical. Those who don't have that, fill everything else. They fill the offices, the businesses, the courtrooms, all this. And this isn't to diminish the people on the field, but it shows that's only an element. And in situations like with countries and with what we're dealing with, while there may be an important support function of those in the field, They are actually the support for a political solution. There is no solution without a political solution. And you can say, well, that's not true. No. Study any war, study anything, and you will see that the solution, the end solution, was political. Okay. Now, the physical conflict could have been was usually an important element of it, without which the political situation, the political solution, would not have been able to have been reached. Okay. But the lesson here is that there needs to be unity. There needs to be understanding on the part of everyone. That everyone who feels the same way you do is important. Everyone with the same beliefs that you have are important. And the fact that they may have a different way to come at it, it doesn't make them the enemy. It makes them a teammate. Okay? A person who is going to do something in the process that you may not be able to do. Okay? You may be strong, you may be tough, you may be great out there on the field. You may not be too good when it comes to going in and winning the hearts and minds, right? Or in the courtroom. We need everybody. And we need everybody to stop the squabbling within ourselves. Don't be the Celts, a great people who were almost far ahead of anyone else of their contemporaries, but who just vanished into the mists of history because they couldn't stop squabbling among themselves. Okay. So I'll leave it with that. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And preparing well is just like a football team. Okay, it means preparing what you're supposed to do, but also valuing and understanding what other people have to do as well and how it all fits together. So you all have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.